Despite the Tories' best attempts at election rigging, part of their plan to make your vote not count, last week saw a huge swing to the Labour Party in two by-elections. The one in Tamworth was called when the then Tory MP Chris Pincher had to resign after drunkenly groping two men, but not before Boris Johnson tried to get it all swept under the carpet, which eventually led to his resignation. They had a 19,000 majority overturned, and Labour's Sarah Edwards is now the MP. The Tory candidate, Andrew Cooper, turned up late to the announcement, and once he'd realised he'd been beaten, he left before the usual courtesy of listening to the winner's speech. Sore loser or just plain rude? Or both? He probably didn't want to be questioned over revelations that during COVID he'd shared a flowchart that basically said that anyone who was unemployed and couldn't afford to feed their kids should fuck off. An opinion that Rishi failed to call out when it was raised with him. Good choice, Tamworth. In the Mid-Beds by-election, new Labour MP Alistair Trathan overturned former Minister Nadine Dorries' 24,500 majority. Nadine, of course, was a big supporter of Boris and expected to be given an honour in his undeserved honours list, which included a Partygate organiser and Charlotte Owen, a 29-year-old staffer who'd, well, what had she done? Probably just Boris. When Nads didn't get that, she decided being an MP wasn't for her and went on to do TV shows, write a book, and failed to turn up to Parliament and represent her constituents for over a year. So Mid-Beds made the right choice as well. But the bigger picture is that the Tories have spent £200 million of our money introducing voter ID to try and rig elections, even there have only been 6 cases of voter fraud since 2019. That's less than the number of Tory MPs suspending for bullying and sexual misconduct. Jacob Rees-Mogg admitted it's what's known as gerrymandering and even complained that it hadn't worked in previous by-elections. Looks like it didn't work in these two either, Jakey boy. Guess you'll have to think of another illegal way to win. But if I were you, I'd look at changing some of the boundaries in your favour. Oh yeah, you already have. Just don't let 16-year-olds vote or things could get even worse for you. Stick to them being allowed to join the armed forces and dying for their country, and invariably you taking the opportunity to enrich yourself at the same time. Greg Hands, the Tory party chairman, in a fine example of blind stupidity, reassured us that this wasn't a swing to Labour, despite the fact that it obviously was, and that these were a protest vote against legacy problems. Read that as Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Brexit, austerity, crumbling public services, shit-filled water, corruption, the cost of living crisis, cronyism and lies. And that the new party under Rishi was the change we need after they've been in power for 13 years. The worry is that now they can see an end in sight, the bastards will just pillage the country for everything they can fill their bank accounts with, leaving the next government with an even bigger task. I'll be doing a video in future explaining why a first-past-the-post election system is so flawed that you get a result meaning the party in power didn't actually have the most votes, and then what the alternative is, and why these power-hungry fuckers want to keep the status quo. So subscribe now and turn on notifications.